Good evening. I'm Eugen Weber.
And I'm Troupe.
Today, on the Western tradition, we will be discussing the effects of the Great Depression on socialism in America. During the Great Depression, so many people were forced into poverty that the flaws of capitalism became clear.
Okay, so you've got unregulated capitalism, you've got total booms, and then the market tanks, and it totally sucks. Just like our recession right now. Like if you're a used car salesman, you're like selling cars, but anyone else is totally like, any car salesman is totally going broke, you know? Okay, I'm gonna stay on topic now.
The people who tend to suffer the most from the depressions and recessions are the poor and lower working classes. And this was especially true during the Great Depression.
Yeah, indeed, Mr. Pham. During the Great Depression, you've got money shifting from the poor to the upper classes. So like the upper classes are like way up here, and the lower classes are like underground, you know? They're totally dead and gone. And they're all poor. And the middle class disappeared pretty much.
The Great Depression was so terrible that Americans finally realized that a fundamental change would have to be implemented in the American political and economic system to protect the poor.
Dadgummit, Bill. Times are bad. My husband lost his job. Banks are closing on houses. Government's not doing a thing to help us. These rich folks, they still got their big old houses.
Damn, Salon. Capitalism's failing us. We need a new system that favors the working class, the real Americans. I heard there's a system called socialism out that might do just that.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, so you've got the Great Depression kind of sparking like socialist type programs in America, but they're not really socialism, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so we've got child labor laws, Social Security, and the New Deal, which is the big thing.
The most famous Depression-era policy was the New Deal, an umbrella that included many things such as minimum wage, bank regulation, and federal aid. This policy was put into play by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and though it failed to actually end the Great Depression, the New Deal created many programs that still exist today.
So basically the first thing that the New Deal does is it fixes the American banking system. So you've got like regulation that ensures deposits by the little minions who deposit in the bank. At the same time, you've got the federal government that says what the bank can and can't do. So it like kind of restores confidence in the big bank up here, and people are more likely to put their money in savings in the bank again, which fixes the American financial system, which was totally sucking during the Great Depression.
The American government also began to move to protect the agriculture and farmers in America. Roosevelt included farming subsidies and bonuses for farmers who didn't make surpluses, so that the food prices would stabilize. This and a few other New Deal programs were marked as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court and were so cancelled.
Yeah, so Roosevelt isn't like the type of dude who will take no for an answer, so he's like, these things are unconstitutional, so I'll just make a second New Deal. So that's what he does, he makes a second New Deal program. So he basically tries to compensate for the programs that failed. So he creates Social Security, which basically gives welfare and an insurance policy for people who lose their jobs, and then retirement things for the old folks. Then he goes off and tries to like use this Social Security program to try to help the Great Depression, but of course there's no backing policy to unify all the New Deal, so it doesn't help the Depression that much. But Social Security is still around today.
Hey, Bill.
Hey Sal, how's it going?
It's going great right now. You know, Grandpappy, he's getting too old to work for the government. He's still gonna pay him salary.
Oh, that's great. You know, I had a friend a long time ago. I heard of he lost his job, but the government ended up paying for all his basic necessities while he was still looking for another job. It's great.
Well, that's just great. I just love this new government system.
Socialism is awesome.
This meant that all Americans during and after the Depression had a sort of safety net when they aged or lost their jobs. If there hadn't been a Great Depression, this security for Americans would have never existed, and many people who depend on it today would be out of luck.
Okay, so I just thought of my new cultural travesty. Sagging. Like, totally. When my kids look back at my time, they'll think, dude, he had Beatles hair and he had a tattoo. When your kids will look back at you, they'll be like, dude, you were sagging. Like, your pants were like down to here. Like, that'll totally...
You're being very disrespectful. This is a documentary moving picture.
Oh my god. I just got dissed out by Eugen.